Visit pioneer.com/wintercanola to sign up before it's too late.
Whether coming from a hospital stay or just need a little help, Taylorville Care Center's personalized therapy program can get you up and going. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
I'm Brandy Bruley, Superintendent of Taylorville Schools. At Taylorville Schools, we prepare every student for success. We're making great progress on our new Fine Arts Center with the approval of the exterior design. Exciting things are ahead for our students and community. Learn more at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. Good morning, Central Illinois, and welcome to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and we start things off today with Dr. Kent Redfield, a professor of political science at the University of Illinois-Springfield. Dr. Redfield, thanks for coming on this morning.
Good to be here.
Yes, it's good to have you on, and hopefully we'll have you on for 2 segments this time, as there's plenty to talk about, as we're, I think a little more than 3 months, actually, before the elections in November, and plenty going on now. There are a couple of Democrats who are or were in the General Assembly who had been involved in some sort of scandal. And I want to go through each of those. We'll start with the one involving State Representative Carol Ammons. She was indicted by a federal jury on 10 counts of wire fraud, separate counts of making false statements in investigations, and it's from an alleged scheme to take kickbacks from state grants and misuse campaign funds. And first off, just talk a little bit about that and what recourse, if any, of Republicans or any Democrats who would want to would have to take some sort of action on this.
Yeah, and this is the Republicans are in a serious disadvantage. No statewide offices, huge minorities in both chambers, and so of the state legislature, they're looking for, and they're, they want issues to run on, and a constant theme in Illinois is political corruption. And now we have a situation where a sitting state representative is under federal indictment. Now, that does not, if you are convicted of a felony under Illinois law and the Illinois Constitution, you cannot hold public office. But if an indictment is just that, it's a criminal charge, and so she is running for re-election. It is a Champaign, very Democratic area. There is no Republican on the ballot. It's too late to appoint for the Republican Party people to appoint someone to run on the ballot. And so, it is likely that she's going to get reelected because the criminal proceedings are not going to, be complete, probably unlikely even in this calendar year. And, that creates a dilemma for the Democrats because they can always expel a member from the legislature. They're the sole judge of the qualifications of members. But if they were to expel her now, that would be just for the current General Assembly. If she gets elected to the new General Assembly, they would not be able to expel her again just because she was under indictment. Constitution prohibits you from expelling a member more than once for the same charge. So, it's likely she's going to be there. Now, whether the Republicans can use that to gain ground in the race in Champaign, or to, build some support or momentum for the Republican candidates generally, that's, we'll have to see. The Republicans are in a pretty weak position currently, but that's the situation with the current representative.
Yeah. So, in just to kind of understand this better, so if the Republicans or if the General Assembly members, right, vote to expel Representative Ammons, then she could still win back her seat and then be immune to expulsion if the indictment happens, or like if she gets convicted from the indictment, then she becomes permanently ineligible. Is that correct?
Yep, that's exactly the case. And so we have in the past expelled members that were under indictment, and there was one case where we have kind of this similar situation where they expelled a member, but he got reelected and then served almost 2 years before he got convicted. So but it's an issue that when you want to run against the other party, claiming that they are corrupt, and here's Exhibit A, is a good tactic.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. I'll probably bring it up in just a little bit as we kind of focus more on the election. I do want to turn now to the other situation that has come up, and now this state representative, in fact, resigned, or is at least now no longer in the House. Harry Benton. It sounds like raised concerns about some conduct that he was involved in. Talk more about that one.
Okay, and so a lobbyist, raised concerns among some other members of the General Assembly about his behavior in a couple of specific instances, and that triggered an investigation eventually with the Legislative Inspector General. There was a report that was written after an investigation. When this first came up and he was under a cloud, Speaker Welch removed Benton from the Democratic caucus, took away his committee assignments. When the report was shared with the Speaker and the members of an ethics committee, privately, then Welch went to Benton and demanded that he either resign or they would expel him. And he did, in fact, resign and withdrew his name from the November ballot and has been replaced on the ballot. Now, that sounds like, the system worked, but the Chicago Tribune did an investigation and published a story last week where it turns out that there were allegations raised by a staffer that worked for Representative Benton back in 2023 that, according to the Tribune's investigations, kind of got slow walked and there really weren't, there really wasn't much action that was taken. In fact, the Democrats funded Benton's reelection campaign, in a competitive district to the tune of about $1.5 million. And now it turns out that, questions about the representative's behavior only got, kind of visibility after the lobbyists had complained. And so the staffer, the statute of limitations. And so this report will probably not deal with the situation of whether these complaints were properly handled. But, now the Speaker's office and the process itself kind of has a black eye because it looks like, the ball got dropped earlier and then, only recently was action taken. So again, another black eye, something that the Republicans could use not only in the election for Representative Benton's seat, because there's a candidate, that's been appointed to the ballot, a Democrat, who will have to answer questions about in this case, it's a woman, whether she will take money from the House Democrats for campaign and these are kinds of issues that even, the Republican candidate for governor can use as saying, the Democrats are corrupt. They were corrupt under Madigan. Here's even more examples of why, we need to get more Republicans elected statewide in the legislature.
Now, in terms of this particular investigation, it sounds like there was some foot dragging going on. Do we know if this was because like people who wanted to investigate it were ill-equipped to do so in their eyes, or is it more because people who maybe could have investigated it did not want to, for political purposes?
Yeah, and that's not clear at this point. I mean, it's a pretty damning article if you read the article in the Tribune, but and so and the awkward situation which ought to be changed is that if you are a staffer in a district office, which this woman was, then your boss is the state representative in this case that hired you, and so there doesn't seem to be a real clear process for dealing with that situation, because once you go to the legislative auditor general, then things tend to become public and things, and so there appears to have been efforts on the staffer's part to kind of get the speaker's office involved and handle this without going public and stuff. So it certainly points to the need certainly to have a statute of limitations of more than a year, and a second look at kind of what kind of resources are available to staff people, particularly those out in district offices that if it's the person that hired them is the one that they're complaining about, it creates a pretty awkward, tense situation.
It sure can. I'm talking right now with Dr. Kent Redfield, a professor of political science at the University of Illinois-Springfield. Let's take a break. We'll talk a lot more about this on the other side here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Got driveway problems? Is grass creeping into your rocks and rocks ending up in your grass? Tired of fighting it year-round? Call Cousin Bill. We stop loose rocks for good, so your driveway stays neat, clean, and low maintenance. No more mess, no more hassle, just results that last. Call 217-788-7777 for your free estimate today, or visit
ilepaving.com.
It's summertime, and that means baseball, backyard barbecues, and a little well-deserved me time. Make your time even better with delicious Prairie Farms flavored milk. Our single-serve flavor options are unmatched. Try rich peanut butter chocolate, indulgent salted caramel, or smooth classic strawberry. There's a savory flavor for everyone to enjoy. Look for Prairie Farms single-serve bottles of flavored milk at your favorite grocery or convenience stores. Then visit prairiefarms.com for recipes and exclusive coupons. Locally made, naturally delicious. Prairie Farms flavored milk.
Imagine a restaurant that says if steak prices go up tomorrow, we'll cover it. Or a mechanic that says, if we need another hour, that's on us.
Yeah, right.
Sadly, we've been trained to expect extra fees and surprise charges.
But Jansen's Heating and Air is different.
We believe the only surprise should be that refreshing feeling when the bill matches the original quote.
That's why we proudly offer upfront, straightforward pricing on repairs.
Jansen's provides a comprehensive job description and a guaranteed pricing breakdown before we do any work.
You only pay the promised price.
Not one penny more.
Even if we end up spending more to fix your AC this summer, it's on us, not you.
You won't find an airline that says fuel prices have increased, but your ticket price will stay the same.
But Jansen's Heating and Air says the price we say is the price you pay.
Call Jansen's Heating and Air, 562-5201.
JansensHeating.com.
Orthopedics is what we do. We fix broken bones, repair and replace joints, help people improve mobility and relieve pain. Getting back to your everyday activities is all you really want. Sarah Bush Lincoln has some of the most highly skilled orthopedic and hand surgeons in the country, and they want to help you get back to the things you love. Learn more at sarahbush.org. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care.
Pana schools provide excellence in education and are rooted in the Pana community. Become a part of Panther Pride and find out the great things happening in Pana schools by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupon by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
And you're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Dr. Kent Redfield, a professor of political science at the University of Illinois-Springfield. And we've been talking about a couple of recent scandals involving Democratic General Assembly members. I want to zoom out quite a bit because I had State Senator Steve McClure on, I think it was either last week or the week before, and he was talking about this as well. He was talking about what he views as some shortcomings in the ability to do these sorts of investigations. And I'm curious if this is something that's kind of felt across the board, what people are calling for, that sort of thing, with under 4 minutes to go.
Sure. Absolutely. The Inspector General process in terms of the state of Illinois was adopted after the Blagojevich and Ryan scandals, where we had two governors go to prison, and the problem is that with a kind of a bureaucratic an situation, then you've got pretty clear lines of who you report to and the role that that your HR department plays and all of that. When you get to the legislature, you've got 118 bosses, all members, we're talking about the House of Representatives. And then when you get to a district office where the legislators, the House members have control of their budget and do their hiring, then those people are in a different situation than someone that works for, a legislative staff, the speaker's staff in Springfield, where you've got an HR department, you've got a much clearer process. The resources are a lot clearer. So, that's one issue. The other issue is it's a very closed door process that with very limited transparency. And so it almost seems to be designed more to protect the legislator than to allow for transparency and to get to, to really get to the heart of what's going on. And so these are not new complaints in terms of the way that the Legislative Inspector General office is conducted, and there's a legislative committee that it has to approve of a lot of what the person doing the investigations has to. They have a say in what's looked at and what isn't looked at, and that sort of thing. And so this is definitely not a new issue, and you would think that it would be in the best interest of the legislature in general, to structure situations so they don't get these problems. But that, it is a continuing problem.
And yeah, we'll see how this gets handled as it goes on. Just about a minute to go, a little less than that. So, and I know you've mentioned a couple times, even with all of this, could still be difficult for Republicans to, kind of take advantage when it comes to the elections coming up this fall. You say it's because of the low numbers they have already. Does that sound about right in your view?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the minority. They don't have in the legislature. They don't have statewide people, statewide office, running for statewide office that are well known. and they have their funding base has really collapsed with the absence of the billionaires that used to support the Republicans, and so they, if you don't have the money and you don't have the candidates to get the public's attention, the media's attention, then the story doesn't get out.
Yeah, Dr. Kent Redfield at University of Illinois-Springfield, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5 FM Shelbyville. 107.9 FM Pena.